Travis went good. So after a long bout and much frustration with the hacker, I finally got the computer up and running. But as I had done the coronavirus check for Utah, and then came across YouTube to check, and found on my old channel a channel by the name of Gospel Lessons, and this guy doesn't want to face us, and so he just puts stuff on the screen and talks over it, which is what I was doing in the beginning as I was doing videos on Paleo Hebrew and Egyptian stuff. And so it didn't do any good for me to just talk to the screen when it's all picture stuff. But in this particular case, he starts off in the first 40 seconds on his video, Times of the Gentiles Explained, LDS Last Days, and why 2020 has so many natural disasters occurring. This guy is completely clueless, because he's Mormon. He doesn't do any research. He only listens to what the church tells him to study. And so he uses President Benson's talk as a BYU speech. Prepare great day for the great day of the Lord. I'm looking at the HTTPS or whatever you call it. And so he quotes from Benson rather than going to the primary source. Benson is trying to deceive Mormons by explaining Luke 21:24, where it talks about the times of the Gentiles. And so Benson tells Mormons at BYU the Gentile nations are the so-called Christian nations. Us too. Or is it we too? English language sucks. But that's the one thing Mormons don't get. Because if we're not Gentiles, and we're not Jews, and we're not Native American Indians, what are we? Oh, right, we're Colobinians. And so, North and South America to European nations, many from which many of us came. So there he does include us. The phrase, times of the Gentiles, refers to that period of time, does it? Are you sure? Extending from when the gospel was restored to the world, and then it has parentheses 1830, to when the gospel will again be preached to the Jews after the Gentiles have rejected it. What? Who said that? So let's go to Luke 21 and see what's going on. So this is Luke's version of Matthew 24. There are some interesting differences because let's do a quick Matthew 24 before I speak out of turn here. 24, okay. Yeah, yep, something is different. Okay, so here's Matthew 24. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. And in parentheses, which means somebody else is adding this into the text. Whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. And so there is no times of the Gentiles spoken of here. That's why people refer, or Benson is referring to Luke 21, because this talks about the times of the Gentiles. And so here's the difference. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter in thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. And then woe unto them that are pregnant, and those who have newborn babies, great distress, wrath upon this people, Jews, according to Luke. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Now Benson is claiming that all this takes place during the latter days, not Roman period. And so then we go into, and there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth, distress of nations, perplexities, and the seas waving. This is very, very interesting. 27. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. The sign of the Son of Man occurred on the 23rd of September 2017. Whoever this guy is, he has no clue. Benson, if he knows, he's not telling us. Because all Mormons believe that the prophets know more than me. And so that means he's keeping secrets from us. If they know more than me, and Mormons are definitely sure the prophets know more than me, because they talk with Jesus directly, therefore they know more than me, even though Mormons forget that we're not Christian. And it's right there in the beginning of the Book of Mormon. I write my record in the learning of the Jews and the language of the Egyptians. Which Jews is Nephi referring to? Pre-captivity Israelite Jews from Judah. Now I've gone over how the Gospels turn the setting to Rome and Jerusalem. Moses is in Egypt. Do you see the difference? Because the Jews are looking for the fulfillment of a man like Moses. That's the learning of the Jews, even pre-captivity. The current Jews are post-captivity. That's why they're referred to as Semites. And to be abusive to them is called being an anti-Semite. Because Semites are Mesopotamians. And somebody writing the Bible, in the Old Testament, in the Gospel narrative, or the Torah narratives, decided to claim their captors as their original ancestors rather than the Egyptians. And so the Torah, however, says that Egypt is the promised land And Moses freed the Israelites and went to another portion of Egypt to rule that land, because Israel was part of Egypt. It wasn't until Assyria conquered northern Israel that it was no longer under Egyptian rule. Judah was still under Egyptian rule until the Babylonians came in the first year of the reign of King Zedekiah, who was put on the throne of Judah by Babylon. You need to understand the big picture context when you're going over Scripture. And yet, the gospel narratives are not written as Jesus supposedly being this Moses Messiah Christ. He's in Jerusalem, not in Egypt, under the Roman rule. And yet, as I've gone over with you, the Gospels are also completely messed up, even in their parable form. That's right. I'm the one who's declared the Gospels as parables, just like the Old Testament Torah stories are parables, prophecies for the latter days. None of it is actual history. It's based in history, just like a fiction narrative. But it's not actual history. They use names from history, but it did not happen. The book of Joshua, book of Jesus, never happened. Archaeologists can't make it work. They're not supposed to make it work. The Bible has to work, and it just can't do it. Jericho does not fit any time frame to correspond with the other events that take place in Joshua. It is an apocalyptic literature. It's a prophecy of the latter days. It's not history. But the Jews believe it's history, just as Christians believe the Gospels are history, just as Mormons believe the Book of Mormon is history. Everybody's getting their own scriptures wrong. Isn't that interesting? And that's why this means something completely different to me, as I'm on a completely different paradigm than Christians and especially Mormons. That's why I can criticize Benson. Question is, how much did he really know versus how much was he just faking it? And so, as I've gone over with you, Doctrine and Covenants, section 1, verse 16, it's not Babylon. Who are they talking about? Well, it's the world, Travis. It's Edom. Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you familiar with the Elders of Israel? That Mormon hymn. I've gone over this, but I'm sure many of you are first-time viewers. Ye Elders of Israel, O Babylon, we bid thee farewell. Who wrote this hymn? And when did he write it? And going to the mountains of Ephraim to dwell? Babylon is America, according to the composer. Now plug in America in verse 16 of section 1. America which shall perish. Remember Joseph Smith saying the Constitution of the United States would be jeopardized as America is about to collapse? Benson even says it. I've been using that clip in several of my number of my videos lately. the Constitution will not be saved in Washington. And here it is. Let's see. Was it? Yeah. That all things which are written may be fulfilled. Everything has to be fulfilled. But you have to interpret it correctly. And this is the latter days. Even Mormons believe Jerusalem is supposed to be under attack. It's supposed to be for 3.5 years. America is about to be destroyed, and Jerusalem just made peace with the EU, or not EU, the Arab Emirates, whatever you call it. And so there's no war that's going to be starting anytime soon with Jerusalem. And so you can say, well, that means that there's still going to be time. Okay, how much more time do we allow? The signs in the sun, in the moon, in the stars, they've been happening. How much more time? Like I've been saying, how long are we supposed to be called Latter-day Saints? How many more centuries until we have to change the name? Nelson insists that we have to be the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We have to use the full title. But for how much longer? Because the millennium with Christ, shouldn't that change it? We're no longer in the latter days. So how much longer? Well, that's the whole point of the times of the Gentiles being fulfilled refers to. And it has nothing about the gospel being restored to the Jews. And again, when you understand, I'm going to have to take a pause here while I handle a program. And I was doing okay. And so, should I stop the video, or should I just hesitate until it finally does the end program thing? I probably should stop, because I'm taking too much babble time. Alright, I'm back. And so there's some differences that we need to pay attention to. As the land of prophecy is America, not the Roman Jerusalem, not Egypt of Moses. If you can't understand how parables work, and if you don't believe that the Gospels and the Torah are parables, then why are you listening to me? Why are you bothering to come here to put a thumbs down or put a hateful comment? Why? If you want to learn the truth, pay attention. It's not Jerusalem. It is, however, Judah. They use Judea, which is the Greek of Judah. I've gone over this. In Hebrew, it's not pronounced with a J. That's a European corrupted version of the phonetic phoneme. It begins with what's called the yod, iota in Greek. You may recognize that, not one jot nor tittle. Again, it's iota and tittle. And so Judah is phonetically the equivalent of Utah. So when you use Matthew, because it doesn't talk about it here, at least I don't think. Where's pray, fig tree, their hands, persecute, nation against nation, namesake, forced emotions, false prophets. What sign? Nope, doesn't say. It's in Matthew. It says when somebody tells you that the Lord is in the desert, do not go with them. Anybody familiar with the writings of Brigham Young and that one section in the Doctrine and Covenants about gathering into pilgrimage groups to head west? Where are they going? To the desert. And why did Brigham Young say the desert? Because the Lord told him to go into the desert where the Lord will be. He grew up Methodist. I'm not sure how faithful and devoted he was to the Methodist Church. He didn't seem too faithful and devoted to Joseph's organization. And so, why would we expect him to know anything about the Bible, let alone the prophecies in the Bible? So maybe he just didn't know he was fulfilling Scripture. Nonetheless, he fled America, came to the mountains of Ephraim, the desert, and here built up a kingdom of Deseret. Within a couple of years, the United States conquered Mexico and turned Deseret into territories. And Utah Territory was first, and then Colorado, Wyoming, Idaho part of it. I can't remember, I'd have to check a map. But yeah, this was Utah Territory first. The United States said that Brigham Young could be the first governor. They quickly replaced him. He was not able to behave. But then the Mormon church retaliated, Brigham Young's church retaliated, and kept kicking out governor after governor after governor, as well as other judicial appointments. So yes, I know all about how a government here in Utah is rigged in Mormons' favor. And so what this is doing is utilizing what the Book of Mormon is utilizing in their parable. The time frame of the Babylonian captivity. And so it's referring back to this. When ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with Babylonian armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. This is what the Gospels are referring to for the context in the future, which is America. And so Jerusalem is not Jerusalem, it's Utah. And in the fuller context, America. Thus Zion. So the Gentiles, when it says, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down by the Gentiles, this is referring to Mormons, and it's not Jerusalem, it's Judah, Utah. Utah shall be trodden down by America. America is going to turn on Utah. I may have some probable scenarios, some of which I've caused to potentially happen. We'll see. I'll just give you a hint. Q. They believe in a deep state composed of space aliens, pedophiles, and Satan worshippers. Remember when I said Colobites? Remember when I've been doing a lot of discussion about the carved in stone and in bronze at Temple Square, the symbol of Lucifer. Mormons can't excuse this. They can keep it hidden as best they can, but when people see it, it's over. Mormons can't explain it away. And then remember when we were a part of the Boy Scouts? I did another video this morning, or today, about showing a thumbnail of me as a Boy Scout. I was not among the 300 currently, and among many other hundreds over the decades who have been raped. These are Mormon boys raped by Mormon scout leaders. And then we have bishops raping kids. We have primary teachers raping kids. We have BYU students getting raped. We have others in our society getting raped. Pedophilia is Mormon's middle name. So, yes, how would America turn on Utah and Mormonism? Not hard to imagine at all. But we don't know until it actually happens. But like it says in Luke, all things which are written may be fulfilled. We all know about an Exodus. Why would we have to leave Utah to go to another place in the United States? Why? Well, Luke tells us something different than what Matthew tells us. Let them which are in the midst of it depart out. That's the Exodus, guys. This guy doesn't have a clue. Benson doesn't have a clue. And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. There's going to be war, and everybody's going to turn on Utah. Have you been listening to me and not voting for Spencer Cox? Are you not voting for Trump? You know, you can. The Democrats will give you that $1,200. Remember when we got that once? Then Mitch McConnell keeps rejecting the others. And then you're being led to believe by Fox News that it's Nancy Pelosi that's holding this up. She submitted multiple versions for the Senate to approve, and they've rejected them all because Mitch McConnell considers himself the Grim Reaper. He himself, he will not pass anything from the Democratic House. And he laughs. He thinks it's funny. So, if you're going to be blaming Nancy Pelosi, you got to wait until it's the full Democratic Congress. But right now, are you kidding me? Doing. Had another program that snuck up on me. Hello? hate it when they don't function properly. No. What are you doing? So pay attention to the different Gospels. Very important. But here we see that Utah is going to be surrounded by armies of Gentiles. America's going to be pissed. Utah's going to do something that's going to infuriate Trump. Are you voting against him? Good for you. It's about time you stood up for America. Alright, let's see, there's another thing in here. Shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive into all nations. Jerusalem, Utah, shall be trodden down by America until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So there will be an exodus. And it's very frustrating not knowing how and in what manner it's going to take place. So I'm trying desperately to figure it out because nobody else even knows about it. You're finding out for yourselves the first time around, and you've got a lot of catching up to do. Because I just dropped the bombshell on you about Babylon being America. And the religion of America, which is the Mormon Church. He's specifically speaking of the religious part in section 1. And so, to think that we have to wait for Jerusalem to be under siege, you're going to be waiting for a very long time after you're dead. Because it's America. That's what I'm trying to get across to you. The times of the Gentiles is America. And when the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled, that is the destruction of America. And so it's not the Jews that will receive the gospel, it's the survivors from Utah who will go and build Zion. And then all the world will gather unto it. This generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. My words shall not pass away. All shall be fulfilled. All things which are written, and things actually is words. All words which are written may be fulfilled. So understand that when you want to criticize me. And you can't figure out why Benson's words never come to pass. Why any of the Mormon prophets after Joseph Smith never come to pass. Why this guy, this Mormon, his words will never come to pass.